All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the latest review here on my channel. I'm Tim Anderson, aka Renfell. It's early Sunday morning. I say early, it's not that early. It's 8:30. Let's talk Wheel of Time episode 6, which we watched last night, and I have thoughts, so many thoughts. Again, I'm trying really hard to just enjoy the show. Obviously, I've said before, I'm not a book purist. And there have been things that I have kind of went, really? Okay. Last night, though, however, in episode 6, there was one thing that made me raise my eyebrows, but then there was one thing at the end of the episode which literally made me just go, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like I can't even see what they're going to be doing with this character now that this has happened in the show. So we're going to talk about that. That's going to be sort of a big part of today's episode. Um, but before we get going, this is not a spoiler-free review of The Wheel of Time. So if you are wanting to watch this and you're expecting me to talk about the show but not reveal from things from the book and vice versa, this is not that show. I love the books. I've read them through 3 times. I'm not intimately familiar with them. Like I'm not an expert on the Wheel of Time, but I do know enough that there's things that I could look at and go, that didn't happen in the books, and why are they doing it this way in the show? And so far, I have been really loving the show. So if you're like me and you can easily throw that aside and you don't care about the books that much because you're not a book purist and you just want to enjoy the show, then this is the review for you. But I am going to be critiquing a little bit in this week's episode because there were things that made me go, hmm. Anyway, if this is your first time here, don't forget subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get updates for future content in this series and all the other things I do here on YouTube. And don't forget, you can also join our Discord. Links are down below. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for helping grow the channel and for coming back for another round of things where I talk about different things. Anyway, um, sorry, I'm a little sniffly this morning. So, episode 6, first and foremost, it has some really good visuals as always. Um, there were some things that originally, in the books, let's say the spirit of the relationship between Swan Sanche and Moraine is there in the show, but it's a lot different. Because in the book, yeah, they were working behind the scenes, um, with to find the Dragon Reborn and help bring this about. And if anyone knew, they'd be in deep crap. But they sort of I feel like, and maybe it's been so long since I read the books, I don't remember this, but I feel like they've taken some creative liberties with the relationship here because they gave Moraine and the Emerald Seat a romantic relationship, which honestly, for the show, I think it works great. I loved it. I don't think I had any complaints about that. I like the way the episode started off showing Swan Sanche's sort of a very basic background of her growing up as a fisherman's child to show how she went from nothing to where she is today as the most powerful woman in the world, and how she doesn't take anything for granted in between there. I love the interaction between her when Nynaeve and Egwene come in with Moraine and they meet the Emerald Seat when they meet Swan for the first time, and Nynaeve's just doing her typical "Nyeh, nyeh, nyeh, I'm not gonna take no shit," and Swan just laughs at her and is just like, "Oh my God, I see myself in this woman." Some of this, that was all amazing. Some things I didn't understand, as an example, Moraine finds out where Rand and Matt are, goes in the room, finds them and everything else, and she alone um, is able to sever the connection with the dagger from Shadar Logoth. Now, in the book, she does sort of help buffer that connection a little bit so that he isn't as affected by the dagger as he would have been otherwise. But I don't think it's until what, book 3? I want to say it's the Dragon Reborn, like book 3, when they get to the White Tower, and that's when Matt is cured of the dagger completely. And it takes, as I recall, it takes a full circle of Aes Sedai to separate him from the dagger, not one woman. So that part kind of threw me for a loop, but I'm also like, she does make some suggestions that, there's darkness within him, and if he ever goes back for the dagger, it's going to be really bad business. So maybe they're going to play that back around again. Like maybe the dagger's not done with him yet. I don't know. I apologize. I'm like really froggy throaty this morning, so I'm muting the video as I clear my throat. Um, the other part I was kind of miffed on was Moraine finds Egwene and Perrin in the city after she finds Randon and Matt. But when she enters the room and Egwene is asking, and she's like, "Oh, I haven't seen them, but I've got eyes out for them, and I'll let you know." And I'm like, really? Why would you? Like, is that an editorial oversight or was that on purpose? Is that just to be done? Is that done so that we can see that Moraine is always plotting, even though she has the best interest of the world at heart and she really does care about these characters? Is this to show us in the show that as a blue and as an Aes Sedai, but more importantly as a blue Aes Sedai, she's always scheming and always has something going on? Um, because that's kind of like a lie, like you're not supposed to lie. So I don't know. I had some confusion in that scene in particular, but I rolled with it. I did like how Moraine freaked out when Egwene told her about the Perrin, converting and the yellow eyes and the wolves, and she's like, "Don't tell anybody because there are women here in the Aes Sedai who will kill him for that because that's, many suspect that to be dark power even though it's not." Um, the public relationship with that Swan has with Moraine, I felt is good. It was portrayed well to kind of throw everybody off the trail. The other Aes Sedai, Leandren, man, it's easy to hate her because they gave that role to a woman who's not particularly. I don't want to say this because I don't like critiquing people on their looks because looks are very subjective. Everybody has different. They picked a woman who is not what I would have envisioned to represent Leandrin, and the actress that they chose is definitely pulling it off. She's got the look of someone who is conniving, and some of that is just good acting, and some of that is just the person they chose. Um, I'm going to say this as graceful as they can. She doesn't have what many would consider to be traditional beauty, and so you're seeing her from a perspective where you're kind of instinctively not going to want to like her because of things, and then but also because of her acting. Um, and she's definitely we can see that she's pushing for the Amyrlin seat and that she doesn't respect Swan as she should. So there's some very good acting going on here, and I really like how this is. We're going to see this power dynamic play out. Again, we are moving this story forward at a far more rapid pace than the books. But let's talk about the end, because the end is the part that really stuck me, and it's the first time in the show. Like there were things like first episode when Perrin has a wife, and I was like, "What?" And then he kills his wife, and I'm like, "What?" And that was a what moment. But the end of last night's episode, the end of episode 6, literally had me going, "What the fuck did you just do?" Because they're kind of skipping around between like they're all sort of in book 3 territory, but now all of a sudden they're going off to the eye of the world, which is book 1 territory. This is not the what the fuck moment. Just wait for it. Um, so there's that going on. So we're definitely blending, which is great. We did that with the Lord of the Rings movies. Peter Jackson did a very good job of blending things from all 3 books and putting them in different places for the films, and it worked brilliantly. So it made sense to me, and I could totally see where this is going now because the conversation that Swan has with Moraine about how we don't know which one of these 5 it is. Swan says, "I'm having dreams. We need to go back to, we need to take them to the eye of the world because that's where the Dark One is bound. That's where he was bound the last time." and we need to confront him before he's strong enough to affect the world. So you need to take these five now, get them there. We don't know which one it is. Moraine says that, and Swan's like, it doesn't really matter. Just take them all, and whoever is the dragon reborn, it will come out of his or her spirit, and they will confront the Dark One, and the world will be saved. And yeah, the other ones will probably die. It is what it is. So I like that they're blending, but remember, at least as far as I can remember, the Eye of the World was not where. I don't remember that being where the Dark One was bound. Like, I just remember that being a great source of Satan, of the One Power. So they're taking some creative liberties here and reworking things. But I kind of see where they're going now because we only have 2 episodes left. So they're going to get to the Eye of the World. There's going to be a confrontation, and we're going to finally see who is the Dragon Reborn. The Dragon Reborn is going to be revealed by the end of this first season, and it's going to happen at the Eye of the World. Totally makes sense. That part of the adaptation I can get behind. My what the fuck moment is as they're entering the ways, several things were bothering me. First is like they brought Leola along, but they don't explain anything about that. And then the ways are very much portrayed as, oh, the Aes Sedai is opening the ways. And in the books, it was not opened with the one power, it was opened with the leaves, right? As I remember, you take the leaf and you put it on, and that was why they wanted Leola there, because the builders were the ones who created the ways. And whatever. Matt not going into the ways with them and not going to the Eye of the World. That for me was a big what the fuck moment because we end that episode with Matt clearly outside of the ways and not going with them and refusing to go into there with them and then the door closing. So I don't see how they could possibly even start the next episode with a oh yeah, he's here, he jumped into the last moment. It looked to me very much like Matt is choosing to stay behind. Now, maybe this is because they're going to play out the dagger role a little bit more. Maybe, but here's the thing: they might be retconning Matt's character entirely just for this show. I don't know. And what bothers me though is that so much of what happens, at least in the book, in and this might be stuff they're just cutting out of the series completely. There's a lot that happens at the Eye of the World for Matt. He gets the horn and he gets the banner. I don't recall the banner being that important, but the horn is hugely important because that's the horn that's going to sound, and that gives him the connection to the other world and the heroes from before. It's also what gives him the connection. Maybe it's the banner. I forget which one it is. It's been a while since I read the books. He gets that connection to the blood of before, and that's what he starts to have the visions of like being a general from years before, and it gives him the great military strategy, and he starts to get the luck with the dice, and he hears the dice rolling in his head, and all of these things that make Matt the character who is Matt throughout the entire series. All of that happens in the Eye of the World, and then the dagger and everything else like that just is stuff that carries over through the first 3 books, and then helps define who that character is for the rest of the series. So I am really struggling to see where are they going with this. Like, are they literally just going to retcon the entire character of Matt for the show? If so, I might actually have found my disconnect moment, even though I'm not a purist. Um, Matt's one of my favorite characters from the books, and I feel like he has been shat upon in the show so far. And again, I'm trying really hard to separate the two, but I'm also struggling with that. So, like I said, I'm willing to give it a run, just like I was willing to deal with Perrin having a wife and then killing his wife, because that arc did play out by the time they got captured by the White Cloaks, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense, and that I felt like that was well done for the show. Like, okay, I can get behind that. Matt not going to the Eye of the World, I'm not. I'm like, I don't see how that can go, and so I'm really sitting here going, okay. I mean, I will have faith that you guys can pull something off. I'm not convinced that I'm gonna like it, but I'm gonna see if I can. So anyway, that's where I'm at after episode 6. Like I said, it is what it is. I'm really torn though because it's my favorite character in the book series, and I don't see how they're going to be able to make him into the character from the books from this point. Um, but I do have to give them the benefit of the doubt and see what they can pull out of their hats. So obviously we have 2 more episodes to go in this season, and it's already filming season 2. So we got next season to see how this all plays out. So fingers crossed. In any case, thanks for following along, everybody. If you enjoy these reviews, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment below. Of course, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get updates on all the future content I do here on YouTube. Stick around, there's lots of other fun stuff. And don't forget you can join our Discord below. And if you want to know what we're working on over at Wandering Hermits, on this thing here, Weave in the Void. So my brother, my wife, and I, you can check out patreon.com/wandering hermits. Links are down below. And you can come pick up a subscription over there if you want to support us. You can also head over to our Weave and Void Twitch channel if you want to watch game dev videos and so on and so forth. D&D every Sunday night, 9 p.m. with our friends as we play through the Lost Mines of Found Elver. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. See you next time.